So, welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Naschat podcast, brought to you by National Autograss Sport Association Limited, in conjunction with our corporate partners. On board, we've got the RP Leisure Group, Cobra Coatings, KS Coles and the Wellington Business Centre. We've got Shocking, DH Alley Works, DM Design Fabrication, and of course, we are fueled by Monster Energy today. We've got another guest in for you, another prolific Class 7 racer, but his career's been varied. He started with us in National Autograss many years ago. He then ventured over into the contact world of Formula 1 stock cars, and then he came back autograss racing, and I think it's fair to say he came back with a bang. Welcome, everybody, Dan Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
How are we doing, mate? How's tricks?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, pretty cool.
So, you're back in the thick of it. You're back in the autograss home, I like to call it. But let's wind it back. Let's wind it all the way back to the very beginning. We'll start there. What a lot of people, there's a lot of newbies in the sport. Now, you're still a youngster, right? Youngish. You know, certainly in comparison to me. But a lot of people saw you come back. They knew you from your stock car racing, because a lot of autograss fans are stock car fans, aren't they?
Yeah, of course they are, yeah.
But there is a fact about your junior career that a lot of people in autograss wouldn't know. So, way back when? 2005?
4, I think.
4?
Yeah, 4.
Where was the venue? Stroud? No, that was men's nationals.
I think it was Stroud.
Was it?
It's that long ago.
You can't remember. So, for you guys at home that don't know, you'll know Dan from his recent endeavours. You'll certainly know him from his stock car career, his recent endeavours in Class 7. But Dan was also a junior national champion all 20 years ago. And then disappeared off into the world of Formula 1 stock car racing, which was your heritage, because Dad was a racer, wasn't he?
Yeah, that was the plan all along. We raced as a grass track junior, and then that was the plan, race the stock cars and then see how I got on. But then the plan was to come back originally, eventually come back to grass tracking. I've always wanted to race a Class 7 and try and win some big championships. Because naturally the stock car job, it's not good that way. You get put in the fence and hurting your back, and just physically, it can't do you any good for when you get older. So
and as you get older and you're working for yourself.
It's one of them you need to go to work on Monday morning. So the grass tracking job, naturally, there's some big wrecks. When it does go wrong in grassing, it goes wrong.
Yeah, it goes wrong at speed, yeah.
Luckily, touch wood, the last 2 years I've not had one. So...
No, but I mean, 7 in your first season, obviously.
Yeah, so I've had plenty to start, but the last 2 years we've managed to stay away from that big damage job.
So let's run it back. Back when you was in the junior saloons, and we are talking we believe 21 years ago.
Yeah.
You won the national championships. Obviously, as soon as you was old enough, you were straight into Formula 1, and initially prolific, preferably tarmac, and then you went shale just a little bit after, didn't you?
Yeah.
Where Dad was a great shale racer. So should we talk a bit about Dave?
Yeah, you can do, yeah.
So Dave is Dan's dad. He was a Formula 1 stock car racer. He was officially the king of Coventry.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a Coventry specialist. He'd upset the best, and he weren't really bothered. Didn't matter who it was, how hard a hitter they were. He just if they upset him, he upset them.
Yeah,
simple as. And he didn't wait about. He'd do it straight away.
And because he didn't do, because he didn't really chase like the national points as it used to be back then, before it changed to the shootout and all that. He raced off blue most of the time, didn't he? So there was always a risk involved with racing Dave, because if you're a red top or a superstar and you're coming past and Dave's got a grudge, you're wearing it, aren't you?
Yeah, you're going in the fence.
And I obviously, again, myself as a fan of Formula 1 stock cars, I barely missed a Coventry meeting, so I saw your dad rack up many finals.
Yeah, there were a few drivers that were like my dad, and they were like a chap called Lenny Smith, and they were just good, fast drivers with fairly good tackle, but they didn't race a lot and they weren't that bothered. But then when it come to Coventry, they wanted to win.
Yeah.
It didn't matter who it was like that. They wanted to win and they'd take anyone out to win.
Coventry is it's different to the rest, isn't it? Like,
yeah, it was. Yeah.
You know, like I did my little stint at stadium racing. I liked Stoke, as in I liked the track, because for me, I liked the yumps and bumps, and Stoke was fast. Yeah. Coventry, slick, smooth, perfect. Like, never a ripple in it. But the crowds at Coventry, and I particularly remember the year you was right in the middle of but the year you guys at home, many of you probably will have seen The Gears and Tears, which was the documentary that was filmed around the stock car world. It was mainly filmed around the Smiths versus the Waymans, because they was the two, prolific names. Obviously, I'm big mates with Frank. You're big mates with Stu. There's a possibility that rivalry may go off again, because all the next generations are racing now, and
you just never know.
Yeah, you never know. And but when the year that they filmed Gears and Tears, which was 2010, the world final was at Coventry that year. Oh my God, you couldn't get in the place, could you?
Massive.
I actually sat on the roof of the ice cream van because I could not see the track. It was crazy, and it must have been like, from your perspective. And we do get a buzz, and we talked about this with our other guests on this podcast. We do get a buzz out the environment, the autograss environment, and the we thrive on arriving on a Friday and all that sort of cool stuff and being around it. But does it even compare to World Final Night at Coventry? That was crazy.
Yeah, it was like going watching sprint cars in America or NASCAR. It was just, it got that everyone was buzzing, and it was like you were a footballer. It was just, you couldn't move. Even if you wanted to go to the toilet, it was like you had to queue. Even as a driver, it was like, you had to queue.
Yeah, you can't go last minute. Yeah,
it's mad.
Yeah,
but yeah.
And the race that night didn't turn out to be that fantastic. It was quite run of the mill.
Yeah, I think I ended up on my roof as well.
Did you? Yeah. I couldn't remember if there was any stoppages in the world final that night.
Yeah, I thought it was a first bender.
First stoppage, and then it went the distance, didn't it?
Yeah, so I ended up racing the car first corner, got tuck in, ended up on my side, but then that wrecked all the wing, back suspension. So I won the meeting final. So yeah, the car was quick. Had damage in the big race, and
that is stock car racing.
Yeah, that's it.
So the rest of your career in Formula One, multi-surface, tarmac and shale. As a younger lad, even though Dad was a shale specialist, it always seemed like you favoured the tarmac, but actually as you got older, you liked the dirt again.
I think the dirt, it's like the grass tracking. You've got to learn it. You're not going to just come in and be a dirt specialist.
No.
If you've raced tarmac and been the best at circuit racing or stuff like that dirt is so unpredictable.
It's a constant variable. Yeah.
The brakes are different. I know the grassing, we don't really rely on brakes massively, but even like the grass tracking now, the tracks, you can go into one corner and the other corner's completely different.
Yeah.
Or you can be racing and then it starts drying up, or it's really wet, or it starts raining. There's just loads of combinations. The tarmac's just, once your brakes are right and your setup's right, it's just turn and press.
Yeah. So your stock car career wasn't without reward. Yeah. Tell us a bit about what you won.
Yeah, I should have won a lot more than I did. But we like to go crashing. And sometimes that's not the best if you want to win a lot. But we just one of those. If we didn't want someone else to win, we were a bit spiteful. Do you know what I mean? They'd be the same with me. So that's why I probably didn't win as much as I should have. Still won. Probably the highlight is winning in Holland their Gold Cup, because no one thought we could ever win out there.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a laughing stock. I went to watch twice, and they were like, "Oh, you'll not do it. You ain't got the balls to race out there."
Yeah, because it was such high speed,
so fast,
and those boys.
Yeah,
they've got big motors, and
they was on it. And anyway, before I said, right, I'm going to go next year. So I watched the second time, went out, just a bit of a holiday, and then the second time we we chopped the car to bits, lightened it, put a fancy clutch in it, loads of bits, just making it proper on the money. And then went out and actually won. So it was like first time out there, won their gold roof. So it was like, yeah, that was probably the highlight of the.
So you've had the Venray Gold Cup, which is effectively I think they call it the Venray World Cup now, don't they? So you've had the World Cup gold roof from Venray. You've won the silver in the UK.
Yeah.
So that makes you the National Points Championship.
Yeah.
And did you win it in the shootout years?
Yeah, so it was I think a couple of years on from it. I'd had a bit of a rough old ride the first couple of times with the shootout because people didn't want me to win it, and then I didn't want them to win it. So then you end up losing out and coming to the last couple of rounds, you just get wiped out. So, but there's the decisions that you make when you sat in the car, and it's like you've made it, so that's it. You have to sometimes take it back as well. So, but then the third year, I just lay low a little bit and just like thought, actually, I'm just gonna try and be a bit under the radar,
watch a little bit,
and let things unfold, and and then we ended up winning it at Sheffield. So that was a good night. Yeah.
So, just again for you guys at home, in the Brisca Formula 1 stock car world, full contact cars, roughly 1,500 kilos.
Yeah, the rules 1350 to 1450. So.
Yeah. So big chunks of metal, full contact. There is rules within the contact for anybody that gets a bit mixed up thinking it's banger racing. It's far from that. It's a very much a tap and pass formula, but they're big taps, aren't they? And they have a roof grading system. So your novice is your white roof. Then the next stage up is yellow. So they start a bit further back into your blue, your red. Your superstars are red roof with the flashing lights. Then you've got your National Points Champion, which in the autograss world is equivalent to, I suppose, our British champion, isn't it? It's an accumulation of points.
Yeah, it's not our nationals is the world.
Yeah, the world's. Finals, yeah, and they wear the silver roof. Then you've got your world champion who wears the gold roof. You've got your European champion with the red and yellow checkers. Yeah. British champion black and white checkers. Yeah, now, which one of those roofs, apart from the gold, that's the actual world final? That's the only one you didn't win?
Yeah, that and the British. I should have won the British probably twice, but got wiped out.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
And that's, as they say, stock car racing.
Yeah, one I can't even remember because I got knocked out first corner by Rob Speak, and that's it. So
and I think it's fair to say, when you if we use a guy that I've already mentioned, so Frank Wayman, multiple world champion, 17 times silver roof champion. Anyway, you raced in an era. You was a young lad up and coming where Frank was well established. Rob Speaks, 7 times world champion, 8 times world champion, Formula 1s and 2s.
Yeah.
John Lund, 7 times world champion.
10, I think.
10.
Yeah.
And then you've got other lads among that, really, really well-established lads. And you was a young lad coming right in, and they was at their peak.
Oh, yeah, we were in the 50s.
Andy Smith, Stu Smith, the lesser winning of the two brothers, but actually a fantastic driver.
Yeah, it's
great stock car racer.
Yeah, definitely. Stuart, it was a shame he got injured because he was just getting to...
Just coming back with his own chassis. And
yeah, he was got it. It was, I don't think Tom Harris wouldn't have won. I think Stuart would have mopped up and won everything.
And I think with Stuart, particularly, Stuart's one of them drivers where he does have, for the nice Peter Case style comedy guy that he is, he also has a stock car racing style that if I can't win tonight, I might just stop you winning too.
Yeah, definitely.
And that brings a great element to stock car racing. So stock car racing career lasted what, Dan? 15 years?
Yes.
I assume there was some fairly sizable amounts of money spent throughout those 15 years.
Yeah, we had a few good sponsors, but it was mainly time. We spent a lot of time.
Yeah.
At nights, we used to spend 5 nights a week just on car, set up, tyres. Yeah. So
and where with the grass track job, essentially, unless you've had a real disaster, you can look after it yourself. On the stock car job, you need a team all the time, don't you?
Yeah, everything's so heavy, even putting a front bumper on. You can't just do it yourself. You can, but it's a struggle. Do you know what I mean? You need one lad holding it while you tack it. And Yeah,
and then you're
just
even
loads of-
welding in a sequence to stop the thing from bending because you're putting so much heat in everywhere.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. And then it's even the tyres. You've got to carry that many tyres and different staggers and different compounds, and it gets carried away from itself.
Let's put a comparison to it for a second. From a monetary perspective, a month in autograss versus a month. Now, you're running the same, not kit, but your same transporter. You're still running the same truck. So your stock car truck, which was relatively new anyway, wasn't it? You brought your stock car truck. The grass car fits in it perfect. So you've got your motorhome, you've got your race truck. So your MPG's the same.
Yeah.
Month to month, you put an autograss month, let's say August, a busy month.
Yeah.
In comparison to August in the stock cars, what would the spending difference be?
I would say grass tracking, because you pay for all the bits as well. So you're not building. You can if you want with grass tracking, but you buy everything. So if you knock a front corner off, you're buying it everything. So the shocks are a lot dearer on a grass tracker.
Yeah,
be a lot, but then
a lot
you're
dearer,
not putting hopefully as many on. So, but then a stock car, you could put 5 shockers on when we put 1 on.
Yeah.
So then it works. Yeah. Very similar.
Yeah.
I think the cost, the way we're putting tyres on the grass tracking to just try and be the best and be at the top, whether we put them on because it's in his head, I don't know. Sometimes I think with the grass tracking, I think we want that new edge,
that
just
bite,
just to get us out of that gate. Because grass tracking, it's 99%, it's the gate.
Yeah. So again, guys, you guys at home, the ones that are not totally familiar with grass track racing, that might be hanging out there on the fringe thinking, should I go and watch these maniacs let loose? We start on effectively a straight line start, 8 cars wide. And we have an elastic bungee that goes down to up. So the bungee is pulled across our bonnets, effectively, literally above our toes.
Yeah.
We're all in a straight line. We have a signal from the wind-up guy. The revs go up, the tape goes. Obviously, I'm going to say we're 0 to 90 in under 4 seconds, 3 to 4 seconds. We're in the first corner. On dirt, remember, we're pulling wheelies on traction. So actually, the majority of the time, we're limiting our throttle input to get to the corner, because when the car rotates, it's not going forward. So we try and limit the wheelie to the perfect start, so 2-inch wheelie, and carry it to the corner. These cars, so Danny's particularly racing in National Autograss Class 7. So it's a full space frame chassis, independent suspension, really, really trick 3-way dampers, a fancy billet gearbox, just purpose made, with an LS Chevy engine in the back. Danny's center seated in the front, so he's actually sat in the middle, so he's well away from the doors and all that sort of thing. And that also brings his weight back to the middle of the car because the Chevy is offset to the right. So that kind of brings the corner weights back in check. And when it comes to the start line, the key to autograss, if you can make a car that leaves the hardest and goes straight, and that's the key. And if you and a car that leaves the hardest and goes straight is a winning combination, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hard to beat.
Now, in the last few years, as tracks have evolved, and we spoke with one of our guests on an earlier edition around the fact that up here where we're based, so let's say in the Lincolnshire and Yorkshire area, the majority of the tracks are quite slick, quite low bite. When we get down into sort of Herefordshire and down across into Wales, where the dirt changes colour and it's a slightly more red clay, then it's a totally different traction level.
Yeah.
So again, if you can master the shiny start line, we discussed that possibly we may hold a small advantage at the big meetings by being based up here, because we can do the dirt tracks, but we get to race the shiny.
Yeah.
Now, it's not the most fun. And it's not the most rewarding, but it gives us an advantage when we get on the road into the big events, doesn't it? I think, when we travel down to, say, the Midland League, let's say Evesham and Radford, where they start slightly grippy, but then they slick off for the finals.
We've already done 2 meetings on the slick at the start of the year.
That's right. We've done our national qualifying on the slick. But there is then adaptations to make when we travel into the West Midlands, like when we go to a massive track like. But so again, for the guys at home, give me an insight. You've been racing at Scunthorpe.
Yeah.
You've done your national qualifying at Scunthorpe, at Sturton, arguably two of the smaller tracks.
Yeah.
However, little bit misleading, because I know from my own racing around those tracks, where I've spent years racing those tracks, I don't make massive changes for Scunthorpe and Sturton. But let's say for you in the 2025 season, you've gone from Scunthorpe and Sturton, where you've done your national qualifying, you've gone to Border Counties, where the thing is like 100 metres longer.
Yeah, it's mad.
You know, what was the level of changes? You know, tell the guys at home what's involved for you preparing for a meeting where you've gone from like 100-mile-an-hour gear set to, if you want to tell them, whatever gear set.
Yeah, naturally, it's we race all beginning of the year really round Scunthorpe, especially if the weather's bad, because we can still run really, because we've got the hard standing in the pit areas, because normally they're just fields.
Yep.
So beginning of the year, all the fields are waterlogged. You'd never get transporters or trailers on them, so at least Scunny we can run. So normally we'll only race at Scunny, and then naturally, so it's a small, fast but quite tight. You've got to have your wits about you,
and quite slick.
Yeah, and then it slicks up. But I kind of like the racing when it slicks. It's a driver's. You've got to be able to drive and control that throttle.
And park it. Yeah,
park it, and then naturally let the car rotate steady and try and concern your tyres. A bit like the stock cars, we used to have us wits about us with us tyres all the time, thinking need to save them. Naturally, grass tracking we don't do the amount of laps, but it just shows like with the Max Sport tyres, the big meat racers sometimes they go off, so you've got to just be that little bit.
And where you are particularly based, you know, running the car with the Chevy in the back, so you've got essentially a little technical insight for you guys. The Chevys are effectively a rough fire motor.
Yeah.
So when you hear like a bike engine and it yaps up and it screams, or like the V8 Hayabusas and they yap up and they scream, they're what's known as a flat plane crank.
Yeah.
Whereas the Chevy fires rough, big bang almost.
Yeah.
So what happens with the Chevy car is, instead of the tyre just spinning, and it can effectively at a certain frequency come off the ground and there'll be no traction, like a whacker plate. It'll just hover. Whereas the Chevy just digs up,
trying to find the grip.
Yeah, and so the tyre, instead of it going zip, the tyre goes and relaxes every single offset.
Yeah.
So the tyres, essentially, you're not now wearing them out like we would see on, say, a twin bike engine car, where you're wearing them out with wheel spin. You're actually
trying to rip.
Yeah, tearing them to pieces.
Rip them to bits, yeah.
And it's no fault of the tyre or the tyre manufacturer. We're doing things with these tyres that they really wasn't intended to do, you know, and you're running, I'm going to take a guess, and I don't want you to give anything away that you don't want, but I reckon when you let the clutch out, you're expecting your car to do 100 miles an hour without a gear change.
Yeah, you want as much gearing as you can.
Yeah.
If as much as the engine will pull without stalling.
So you're revving your Chevys to what? 7.5, 8? A little bit more from you.
Yeah, a little bit more.
So we're up at let's say we're up at 8,000 revs.
Don't tell me engine builder.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the warranty is invalid, race fans. We're up at 7,500 revs, maybe.
A bit more.
Normal people are about 7,500 revs. So you've got your V8 and it's big banging its head off. It's trying to escape out the chassis. It's bolted to this little tiny gearbox with a clutch that is effectively a switch.
Yeah.
There's no feel or springing or anything like that. There's no give anywhere. A drive line with no give. CV joints and 2 shafts. The only give is if the shafts flex.
Yeah.
And then we're going to transmit that 7,500 revs through this reduction gearbox, essentially, through 2 drive shafts to 2 wheels with these poor tyres on the end. And we're going to say, right, guys, when I let the clutch out, I'm going to induce 100 miles an hour of wheel spin. And I expect you not to spin at all and get me to the corner, but I don't want the tread to fall off.
Yeah.
So it is going to become, for you big horsepower guys, it is going to become a conservation game.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe, with the amount of traction you're running, that any tyre is going to cope with it.
that's it. So sometimes you've just got to be, and that's why if you get to that first corner first, you can control the race a bit.
Yeah.
So then, back them up a bit. Let them like cross up and try and run over your back corner. Because if you stay tight and keep your tyres the last 2 laps, especially in the big finals and the 8 lappers. I know it doesn't sound a lot of laps to like circuit lads and bits like that, but in them big finals, and you don't want to be doing no more laps.
No.
After you've done 8 laps in a grass tracker, especially the class 7 or 8 or the fast car, you know, the faster cars, you don't want to be. You just couldn't.
It's always been a bit of a bone of contention of mine. I hear so many people and they go, there's no track time in grassing. Oh, you don't get no track time. Okay, good stadium. I went to the stadium with a little modified and loved it. You know, do 100 laps a night, whatever we were doing. You were doing same at Stock as 100 laps a night. Grass track racing, quite rightly, because our surface isn't the same, it's not prepared the same. So we've got these changing, then we've got this cushion. We've got a level of traction that I don't believe any dirt car anywhere has the level of start line traction that we induce. It's crazy what we try and do with them. And then, of course, to make these cars work, if you want the car to turn right with no differential, so the differential in a road car is the part that allows the inside and outside wheel to turn at a different speed, so the car will rotate the corners without eating the tyres.
Yeah, not pushing on.
We don't run a differential in autograss cars in the bigger classes, so both our wheels are completely joined together. So both wheels drive at the same time. So naturally, when you go into a corner, this one's covering a shorter distance than this one, and that wants to make you go straight, but also it wants to screw all the driveline off, doesn't it?
Yeah, trying to rip things off.
Yeah, and break everything. So in order to get that to work, there's a few little tuning aids we can use. Anti-roll bars, quite simple. If we stiffen up the bar, we can make the car, instead of it being fully independent, we can make it more like an axle. We can make it lift a wheel so it'll turn in quicker. But then you end up with a car that's loose off the turns. So one other way is we can move the caster on the front. And sort of what I'm alluding to here is we add caster so that the front wheels, when we turn, go on their edges. That will naturally unload the car across the corner, so it'll turn in and then make grip in opposite lock. However, the knock-on effect of caster is it tries to rip your arms out the sockets. So you do 8 laps at a 90 mile an hour average round border counties, let's say, where it's massive. Like, arguably, I've heard in conversation the last couple of weeks, we think it might be too big. Huh. You know, we've been moaning about racing little dirt donuts.
I have to leave a left turn in.
Yeah, it's not for me with my offset cars, is it? I'll just fall in the edge. And and so you start talking about doing this, and as you quite rightly say, 7 or 8 laps in, you are struggling to hold the steering wheel. It's enough.
Yeah, it's like in the most adrenaline bit is the start. It's like dragster racing, but with circuit racing
with some corners.
With some corners. So, it's that start. You just can't, the adrenaline, and you can't move. You can't alter your goggles. You've got to be. You can't flinch.
It's
and
over.
I think that's what tires you as a driver, because you're that. And it's even like with the stock cars. We could have 3 or 4 laps, especially when you got to the top of your game and you were setting off from the back. You could have 3 or 4 laps just to let things settle out.
Breathe. Feel it.
Yeah. Alter your brakes. Is your steering all right? Do you know what I mean? Go into that corner a bit steadier and then crack on after 3 or 4 laps. The grassing, forget it.
You're not altering your brake bias.
No. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah, you're not messing with anything. You're all on pulling your goggles to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that intense and that fast.
Again, for you guys at home, we have this little thing. You may be able to see on the helmet in the backdrop there. There's the little like camera film cartridges. They inside have a film.
Yeah.
And inside, and basically we have a piece of string. And what we do is when somebody fills us in, we pull that. The roll off goes across like a camera film, and we get a clean view until someone else fills us in.
Yeah.
Now you can sometimes on a wet day do a whole roll that might last you a month. You can do a whole roll in a lap. It is, you know, the level of the way we get, and it's particularly more so with you guys with the Chevy 7s and the twins that are coming past you doing 12,000 RPM.
Yeah, just,
you know, and more so than maybe myself in the little lightweight cars. We don't get filled into that. We still get filled in, but very often because we have no body shell, we fill ourselves in off our front wheels. But there's all of these little attributes that make grassing, I still call it National Autograss, quite quirky.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people switch sports. People come to autograss races. So let's take you as an example. As a young lad, Dad was a stock car racer on the stadiums. We've talked about that. You did a little bit of national mini stocks, didn't you? So which is like effectively the junior formula for stock cars. So full contact minis.
Yeah, I did that when I was 10-year-old.
Yeah.
So on my 10th birthday, it was like chuck straight in to the deep end.
Yeah.
Racing 16-year-olds.
Yeah.
So it weren't, it's not a 10-year-old sport, to be fair. But that's why they've changed it now to be, you've got to be 11.
Yeah.
The national mini stocks. Yeah, enjoyed it, but I was too young. And it took me 2 years, really. And it knocked my confidence, you know what I mean? It's not, you're doing a full contact sport with 15, 16-year-olds, and it takes, there was I think from 10 to 16, there was too big years gap,
of experience.
Compared to, and then naturally did really well in them.
I think that's where grass track racing right now has it right. 10 to 14s, you can stay 10 to 16, but at 14, that F600 implementation of that, I think that's been a stroke of genius from the organisation.
Yeah, and when a child's 14, his parents can race
share the car.
Yeah, so it's getting that sharing a car back in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and so again, I'll just revert back to the people at home, but with the F600 or the junior saloon, you can now race an F600 from 14 to 16 or right through adulthood, but that very same car, the same as a junior saloon, you can share that with your mum and your dad. So you can have a proper little family car. You can have a little Toyota Yaris Class 1, for instance. Dad goes out in Class 1, kid goes out in the juniors for 6 years. They got a junior career, and then mum can race it in the ladies' race all on the same day. And you can, happily wear that thing out.
You've just got to be good on the spanners.
Yeah. I mean, there's a little bit of, the contacts, I don't ever really think it's that intentional. I think it's just hustle and bustle. It's not like from the environment you come from where you're actually, right, I've got to move this guy. Yeah,
it's not someone's not going to go in that corner with grass tracking. I think there's more respect. I know there's sometimes it's like, I need to beat him and I need to go up that gap if there is a gap there. But if there isn't a gap there, you're not going to just drive into someone. And
you got to rely on them too.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I think it's, I say, and I've used myself, I would race sometimes and let you decide if we had a crash. So I would shove it down the inside, but it's your decision now.
Yeah.
That's a different to me sliding in the side of you and cleaning your wheels off. For me, the pet hate's always been, and I suppose this is because I'm an open wheeler, I don't like the guys that come down the inside and understeering. That for me is you are out of control. If you come in sideways with me and you lean an elbow on me and you give me, hey, it's fair. I like a bit of that.
Wheel to wheel, and even if it's back wheel into front wheel.
Yeah, and give me a nut. I don't mind that.
Yeah, but when and that's when we wreck big time, innit? That's when someone's got a big push on. When you've got a push, back off.
Shut.
Turn, brake, throttle up.
Yeah.
Simple, innit? But you see some, and I think that's where most of the big crashes come from.
Normally, it's normally just an accident. It's not an intentional thing.
I'm not saying they're doing it on purpose, but you see some, and it's like they're going in way too hard, they're trying too hard. Next thing, big push. Just shut it off.
Yeah.
Turn, brake.
Have another go.
Have a go.
Yeah. So environment-wise, as a family man now, so obviously married, the two youngsters, both racing, one still on the stadium. Young George is being an absolute sensation in his first season of Autograss.
Yeah, really good.
And he's loving it.
Oh, I loves it.
And we're going to see him in a show very soon. So he's going to be here with us, giving us a rundown.
Oh, you'll not get him out.
I look forward to. Yeah, we'll have to throw him. I'll have to turn the lights off.
Just don't let him have any monster.
No, that's to get that when they come in.
Yeah, because he'll be wild.
But from an environment perspective, one thing I found very difficult when I went to the stadium, and I wasn't a stadium guy, I was a grass track guy.
Yeah.
So I made the switch to the stadiums in like 2014 or 15. It didn't bother me. The environment, the racing in the dark, the pitting in the dark.
Yeah.
Feeling maybe a little bit vulnerable because you're in strange areas. Like back then, Old Bellevue, you're in the middle of Manchester. Yeah. So the Bellevue, the old Bellevue Stadium, now it was the Speedway Stadium, used to share with the stock cars and other formulas, didn't it? They built a new National Speedway Centre now, and the old stadium's gone. But this little stadium, which was pretty cool, and it was like a railway line and wire fence, wasn't it?
Yeah,
so but you're like in the middle of a massive housing area, and you did feel a little bit vulnerable. Like you
didn't want to leave your
didn't leave your kit.
Open.
Yeah.
It was.
So that change of environment for you, rather than when you was under the care of your parents all those years ago, to being that parent now, and having the lads with you. Tell the people what you find different in the environment. What's is it better? Is it worse?
It's completely different. Yeah, it's better. For the kids grass tracking, they've got the push bikes, play football in the camping areas. There's no big. The problem is with the stock cars. There's big tractors.
Yeah,
because the cars are that heavy. And they get that much damage, they need a lot of tractors.
Coming in on chains.
Yeah, so then you've got chains and people still sawing and welding and sledgehammers swinging. I'm not saying that's a bad thing because that's what the nature of the sport is, yeah. But with the grassing, it's like your kids can go off and most people know them. They've got the team wear on, so people know who they are. And like we've got a bit of a circle of family now with grassing. And I would say that because we've got some really good friends and a lot of friends really now.
Yeah.
When we come into grassing, like Faye, my wife, she didn't know anyone. I knew like yourself because when I raced back, we always used to have a laugh. And my dad used to get on with your dad and yourself. And so, yeah, I knew quite a few people.
Your dad and my dad was prolific drinking partners.
Yeah, they were. I don't
both
know.
Terrible at it.
Yeah, I don't know the best word to be fair. So Faye didn't have a clue who anyone was, but we made the decision that that's what I wanted to do. Yeah, it was massive, and it was one of them. I'd always wanted to do it. I'd said to my dad and Faye, one day I want to go back grass tracking, and it was just one of them. I wanted to set up my new company because I didn't want to fall back on my dad's company, and I wanted to set my own company up and I wanted to push on and make it what it is today, like a good company, and I'm busy. So I couldn't do that stock cars at how I was doing it. Yeah,
with two cars.
Yeah, and me myself, I don't give in. You could say, yeah, he's packed in, he's not racing, but it's not like I've said I'm not racing and I'm doing hot rodding. I've come grass tracking. Anyone wants to think that stock car, if they think grass tracking's an easy sport and it's not hard and things like that, come and have a go. Because you'll see there's plenty of stock car lads come to grass tracking and they've not done
There's
nothing.
Plenty of lads from a lot of formulas that's arrived here and left.
Backpacking, because it's like, and that's why I'm like, I know I've not won a lot, but I've won a few bits and with the grass tracking, and I'm hungry for it. I want to win.
And if I use one of our mates, and I know he's on another episode, but one of our mates, local guy, you race with him all the time.
Yeah.
7 times national champion. He's only been here 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's mad.
But when you think about Andy Holtby's progression, so Andy's Class 7 national champion, he came from National Hot Rods. He was from an autograss background. His dad was a national champion when I was young. Yeah. They left and went national hot rod racing on the stadium. So that's a bit like the Silhouette Saloons, really quick, not super non-contact. But then when the contact happens, everything's wrecked. Yeah. Andy came back, spoke to me first in like 2010. Would you help me into Autograss? We built him a car. Went on to win his first national title together 3 years later.
Yeah, it's mad.
But that's where you are now.
Yeah,
you're 3 years back in. And since Andy won that first one in 2012, he's won 6 more.
Yeah.
And so you're a similar age to he was. You know what I mean? And
yeah, I'm passionate.
You're in the right kit.
I look at Andy and I just think he's one hell of a driver. Like there's a lot of grass tracking drivers. Like they do the Chili Bowl in America.
Yeah.
It's massive.
Yeah.
Like it's probably the biggest motorsport indoor racing you're going to ever get.
Well, so
it's colossal.
Kyle Larson, for example, who's just won the NASCAR championship again it was only the second time.
Yeah.
Kyle Larson, who's been paying millions and millions of dollars to race in America, he values the Chili Bowl trophy more than the NASCAR Cup.
It's mad.
And that tells you where dirt racing actually is in America. It's crazy. And like you say, we've got guys here
that could
go there.
Definitely.
Capable. The setup's different because it's a little bit more to what you're used to with the stagger.
Yeah.
Probably a bit like I tend to do.
Yeah, I think I still think the Class 8, especially the Class 8 lads, it's right up their street. That's got our Class 8s and probably 9s and 10s are probably as close as you're going to get to a Chili Bowl car.
Yeah.
But just wish I'd got a bit more time in the winter and stuff. But
yeah, well, I'd
love to do it.
That is the issue. Our downtime in the winter is just spent on rebuilding for next year, innit? Because our season's intense. I mean, your stock car season was crazy intense.
Yeah.
Do you have a license count on how many events you've done this year or not?
I wouldn't even know. I've done quite a few. I've done a lot with George as well, the back end of the year.
Yeah. And plus your micro stocks.
Yeah, then
with the pair of them.
Yeah, micro F2 in. That's a good little formula to get because naturally that's 7 till 11.
Yeah.
So that's brought George on massively. Just giving him car control. So that's
just from going to see his first race meeting at Skegness when he sort of
tiny
pootled round and he was absolutely tiny.
Mad.
And he pootled round and he made progression, but obviously that was having to come in between your endeavours. To see George jump into a junior special at 10 and start winning heats at British Championship level.
Wow, it's mad.
I mean, George is a confident little character.
Yeah.
So he was keen to tell us, I think I'm going to do all right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he really has been. I would say from a junior perspective, as a 10-year-old going into an open wheel, I think he's been the shock of the season.
Yeah, he's shocked me and Faye.
Yeah,
I didn't expect. All Faye kept saying is, I just want him. I don't want him to be tootling round and be dangerous. And I said, trust me, he ain't going to be like that. He's just keen for it. And naturally, we've done more practice than a little.
Yeah.
Because I wanted him that I've probably given him a year knowledge.
Yeah.
We've even
in the field.
We've even had him coming up because the first meeting, the first couple of meetings, he was not coming up to the bungee square. So he was setting off.
So I still have that with Evie nearly a season in.
And it's like they're panicking because they don't want to make a mistake, but then they're driving up to the line and they're not positioning the car straight with the bungee.
And they don't realise, but they've placed themselves in trouble
before they've
even set off.
So it's mad. So we had a big bungee in the field. So we kept making him drive around the field, come and pull up to the bungee, but we was altering it. So it's quite comical because then my dad come down in his old Land Cruiser. He's wanting to have a go, and it's like,
was he dressed or was he just in his underwear as usual?
Just got his boxers on. No, he hadn't really. So we've done loads of stuff, and I think we put the time and effort into him, but he's wanted it as well.
Yeah.
So I think if he hadn't, I wouldn't have spent as much. I wouldn't have spent time and effort on him like I have, and so it's probably put me back a little bit this year because we spent that much time and effort on George, but now he's got it, but now he knows what winning feels like because he has won a few. He wants it more now, so he is helping, and I've said to him, if you want it, I'll give you time and effort.
Yeah.
But you've got to help. And
that's very much where I was with Alfie.
Yeah,
like
'cause-
Evie likes being around it. She likes being with me. She likes messing with the cars. She will. She's progressed massive at the end of the year. Massive. Last
Yeah, she
2-3
has,
meetings. Early, I just felt she was just too young. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was still dancing to the race car, and we've made massive progress, and it will come.
Yeah,
But with Alf, it was very different. He was like George. He went, I want to win this.
Yeah, they were like George has watched Alfie, watched Max.
Yeah. Yeah, well, of course, he's been spectating the last 3-4 seasons, hasn't
It's
he?
like he's scraped the mud off their cars like Freddie does now.
Yeah.
And he's like, a bit like when I was younger, I looked up to you, do you know what I mean, as a junior, and you look at the fast cars and you think, I want that. That's me. I want to have a go.
I was so into it, like you was when your dad was racing. My mum came to check on us one night to see if we was asleep, and I wasn't in the bedroom. And I'm talking when I was probably younger than Freddie.
Yeah.
And my dad had been building when Dad raced, they used to race the Formula 2 stock car type specials. So he used to do like Long Eaton or Boston.
All right.
And then race it, take the bumpers off and race it as a grasser on a Sunday with my dad and Bob Mosley and a few of them.
That sounds cool.
And my mum was like, Norman, Anthony's not in his bed. He's not in the house. I'd been sat in the stock car while Dad was stick welding on it. He'd sat me inside it so I couldn't watch.
Yeah.
Fell asleep. And Mum and Dad came out in the middle of the night and I was fast asleep in the stock car, basically under a tarpaulin sheet.
That's not like your dad, were it?
What? His welding was terrible. So you're established now. Obviously, we've joked in the past and we've talked about many times about how you came back to Autograss. I mean, that first... I kind of reached out to you immediately. You went to your first meeting, just bought the car, spent a lot of money on it. Probably not a lot of money in terms of selling a tarmac stock car.
No,
but
it was still
a lot of chunk of money.
Yeah, for what I didn't know.
And you'd bought a fairly high profile car.
Yeah.
So you'd bought Cameron Mills's twin.
Yeah, his twin car.
And you arrived at the first corner and you shut the throttles and the throttles didn't shut.
No. And new to the car, didn't know where the cut-off switch were. I did, but not in that drama. Not in that drama. When you've been in a car a year, 2 years, you know exactly where everything is.
So again, just break off our cars in National Autograss. Part of the rules, we have to have a battery isolator switch, which kills the car completely. So the marshals can run on. The cars all have the cut-off switch, isolator switch in the same place.
Yeah.
They're clearly marked on the car, supposed to be clearly marked on the car. So anybody running up in a drama can reach that switch and turn it off. But again, you had been used to a different environment where the cut-off switch was behind you, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was to the left and right behind you, where in the grass track cars, mainly they're to the right, or to their because the stock cars go the other way around.
Other way around,
So then you'd be using...
You're on the marshal inside.
Yeah, you'd be using your other hand. So
in reality... The only way the cut-off switch would have helped you was after the accident because you wasn't going to turn the engines off
not that quick
in that entry, zone.
Yeah, it was. I just wanted to prove. I just wanted to prove and basically say I'm here, and I did. But
you did
probably the wrong way.
Yeah. And then them woes carried on into the biggest. So that was the end of the season, pretty much. I think you got one more meeting, didn't you, at the end of the year?
Yeah, I went to Yorkshire Dales for their. I think it was the last British round. So we went, not really knowing a lot, and that first heat, I've never felt nerves like it. My heart was like I couldn't breathe. My helmet, like it was choking me. I was panicking it. I've never had it. I've sat on World Finals.
Yeah.
I've gone to war with Frankie Wayman, Tom Harris, people like that. Never not got nervous. But
the element of that's part of the Autograss draw.
Yeah.
Because that start line scenario, when you're in them lanes and you're queuing down 8 wide. So essentially, guys, we would get called down British Championship, well, any meeting, but British Championship, National Championships will get called down in our heats of 8. Our grids are normally pre-computer selected. It's a random draw, so you get so you know where you're going, and you tend to try and work out if you grid 1, you're probably going to run a different car setup
to grade 8.
Yeah. So it gives you a little insight, but you can also put you on the back foot, because if you've got a predominantly really good gate 1, you don't want gate 8.
No.
So it can be a bit of a downer too. But when you're getting down to them last 2 and there's 2 races ahead of you and you're in the next and you pull up to tapes, the difference, I suppose, for you from the stadiums is you can roll out, do a two little gentle laps.
Check your steering.
Yeah, everything's
Check
okay.
your
Brakes
brakes.
feel okay. When you go in a grass track car, when that clutch comes up, 3 seconds later, you're turning right and you might be 8 wide.
Yeah.
And that's where that, but it actually, I'm not sure if it's nerves or adrenaline, but it's overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, well, that's what happened. Naturally, the meeting before the first meeting I went to, the throttle stuck.
Yeah.
Put me in the fence and over the fence.
Yeah,
just horrendous. And then we got it fixed thanks to like people like yourself who helped me, and Andy helped me, and a lot of other people helped me because I ain't got a clue.
We was pretty much locked tight in them engines back together,
so
weren't
it was
we?
like some people said, "Oh, the car's scrap," and I was like, "Can't be. We fixed that many stock cars," but not knowing how.
Yeah,
I'd never took an engine out or put an engine in or took a back arm off or even really taken a wheel off it. So it was like, oh right.
I see the chassis situation in Autograss now. I've been around it a while. If they come to me in 6 meter lengths, then I can mend it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they started in straight lengths tube and they evolved into a racing car.
Yeah.
So they can be cut back to, it's deciding what's sensible.
Yeah, definitely.
You
wouldn't. Yeah, you wouldn't fix a car that the roofs come down.
No,
because in my eyes, that's start again.
Yeah.
Because once something's bent in the roll cage, if you push it back, it's going to be weaker.
Yeah,
it's going to come back.
For me, in that scenario, what I do and the big repairs we've carried out over the past, we push them straight
and then replace,
and then chop out and replace. Yeah,
best.
and then you're starting with a clean sheet. Obviously, you went into next season, new season.
Yeah, new season.
And it pretty much started
how it left,
where you'd left off.
Yeah, horrendous. But we were still keen because after the first meeting, when the throttle stuck, Mo said, well, everyone was saying, I'm surprised you're still here. Well, this was the following year. I thought you'd be back stock car racing. And I was like, no, I've got a point to make.
You're here.
Do you know what I mean? I'm here.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do. And it was mainly for my kids. Because I knew George and Freddie had wanted to get into motorsport, as they are now. Yeah. But at the time, with the stock cars, it's not that good for if you've got kids that race. So if George was racing a national mini stock or a ninja car or even circuit racing, they race. They don't race on the same day. Where with Autograss, we're racing. Yeah. If I'm racing, or the kids are racing, or your wife's racing, or your nan's racing, or anyone.
Apart from the national championships,
we're
all in the same venue at the same time.
So if my truck and trailer is going anywhere in the country, we're all racing. Yeah. Where with the stock cars, if I raced on a Saturday at Coventry, and the minis were at Kings Lane or something like that, I can't be in two places at once. So would I want my kids racing
with you not there,
without me being there?
Yeah.
It's like Frank Wayman, he's done it with his kids and a lot of other dads. And I just think you can't be giving your kids full commitment. No. Because you're not there. So I don't know how they do it.
There's the safety worry. It's the thought of, for me,
putting your kid's helmet on, that is, you know what I mean? You've got to be there. You can't rely on an official or a marshal or
it's your responsibility.
You've got to do it yourself. You feel that helmet. Even if your kid, like George now, he can put his helmet on, he can fasten it, but I don't let him
your job.
Go out till I've checked that helmet, checked his hands device. That's a massive thing.
And Alfie's, Alfie and Max, as a prime example, they're both, Max 17, Alfie's 16. They are still effectively under guardianship of myself and Andy, or whoever's their guardian on their license. And Alfie gets all his own gear on, but I check everything in the holding lanes.
I think that's everything. That's just a dad, dad or a mum's thing in it. You've just got to. But so going back to the stock car, you're not there, and I just think that's what brought me to the grass tracking, because I'd been there as a junior, And it's like, even like the big meetings as a fair, the kids, so they get the mates, and it's not got that, I don't know.
It's like safe.
Safe and family.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying that the stock car and the oval job isn't like safe, but it just doesn't have that kids environment like our lads. They'll go on the bikes.
Yeah.
And they'll go around the 100-acre of fields, and they're all together.
Yeah.
Not causing any problems.
Too much trouble.
Yeah, sometimes. But they just chilled out on the push bikes, and you know that they're all as a team. They're all together as friends.
Yeah.
You ain't got big tractors flying up and down. You ain't got...
Well, the other difference is, of course, by dark, it's all stopped. So the only thing that's going on now is the fairground, or we're having a beer at the bar, or we're having a burger, or whatever. That's the nice part, that you're getting the evenings. So you're still having a weekend with the kids, even though you might have been consumed in racing all day. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Yeah.
And then Monday morning as well, that's another big, massive thing.
Yeah.
With a stock car job, you'd race a Saturday night. Sunday is forget it. You know, when you've done the circuit, the ovals, you're racing till 12 o'clock at night.
Yeah, you're getting home at 4 a.m.
And then you're driving back, absolutely shattered. Sunday morning, you might as well forget it.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything with a family or...
What I found, so like particularly like if we'd done Arena or Ipswich...
2 days recovery.
Yeah, and I was thinking, to start with, I was like, when we did Bellevue, and that's fairly local for me, I would get home and think, well, I've got Sunday to do what I want, because I'm home by midnight.
Yeah.
But
you're still fresh when you wake up. But when
you come back from Arena Essex and you don't leave till 11:30.
Yeah, and it's like the Sunday nights.
It's light when you're getting in.
The Sunday nights, you're absolutely...
So, I mean...
You can't go to work, wouldn't you?
Fair play to them boys that do it.
We had to.
Yeah.
But to them boys that are doing that, most of them don't have to work.
Mm.
They do have to work, but they've got the sponsors, they've got the dad helping them, and
a bit of a team on the cars, maybe. Yeah,
and that's what you need. But with the grass tracking, it's just you can do it on your own, really.
Yeah,
you can buy parts, ring up.
But you're like me; you've just got your mate that helps you.
Yeah, I've got Mick,
and like I have with Steph. And Steph now is obviously he's a bit bored because I've retired, so he's he's helping the kids. You know, and obviously Mick's mad into George's racing, and he's mad into it.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure who's team manager there, whether it's Freddie or Mick.
Yeah.
But they're both mentally the same age, so
yeah. Well, Freddie's probably a little bit
more advanced. Yeah. So obviously we're going into a new season, year or two in the Chevys now.
Yeah.
You well settled?
Yeah, really settled.
Hoping for good stuff.
Yeah, that's what the plan is, really. I think I've played a lot this year with different things, and I have learned a lot. And to be fair, the last meeting at Border Counties, the car was unreal, and I felt like it was up there, probably the best car. It was rapid, but up and to that meeting, I went to Yorkshire Dales the meeting before, and I don't know if it was the car, me, or the track, or something. It just didn't gel.
Track was a little bit heavy, wasn't it?
It was tricky, and the gate was very tricky. So I'd fell out of love with the car. So that was it. Let's start from scratch. We altered probably 5 or 6 things. I was just doing starts down on the field, and I was just altering shock clicks. I altered roll bars, altered everything, ride heights. I chucked everything at it, and I was like, we got good, then went back. No, that's not as good. So we just spent probably a week. I didn't race the weekend in between because I just wanted to try and get the car right. So then it was back on the scales, try this, try that, and so I went to Border Counties really not knowing what it was going to be like. But I'd learned so much because with the stock car job, I've never done roll bars.
No. So
roll bars, I didn't realise altered it as much as they do.
So do you think there's an opening? This has come up for debate quite a few years now. It gets mentioned. Do you think there's an opening for a test facility for autograss cars? Do you think that if somebody makes the investment into a field,
yeah, definitely,
and prepares a proper track with a start line because I personally believe they'll private hire it all summer.
Yeah, definitely. It's just the right location, isn't it? And it's the weather. It's like we went down. We've made a bit of a field, and we've just got to start. No fancy, and it's just one of those. But we'd go down. Next thing starts raining, so it's
You're done.
Waste of time.
Yeah.
So it's not like testing on tarmac, where like circuit lads they can go for the day. Even if it's raining, they can still test. But as soon as it starts racing on a field or even on a dirt track, it's waste of time.
Yeah, because with the actual racing itself, you know the basics to make a start. You know the percentage where you need to put it. That's it. The rest of it's whether you can keep your face clean, isn't it? That's
it. So I do think if someone did open a test track,
just mileage.
But then the problem is how can you put it? People are testing 5 days a week. That's the problem then. But it's who wants it more, isn't it?
That's like any sport. So, guys at home, don't forget, like and subscribe to our page. Put your comments down there. Ask any questions you want to ask. Any questions you ask, we'll get to later. As with our other guests, this with Dan is an open invitation to come back at any time. We can, obviously we are going to catch up with George fairly soon. Obviously he's going to be a little star of the future anyway, so we're going to need to talk to him just so we can pretend we played a part in his career. Do you know what I mean?
That's it.
Try and steal some of his thunder for later.
He'll not want us when he gets good.
So you've now been, top end of the stock car game.
Yeah.
Is quite fair to say.
Yeah.
You're pushing at the grassing job. You're regularly making finals now.
Yeah.
So the big finals are coming. It's only about the first time you pop out in front, you can lead it home. Who's your guy? Who's the guy? Stock cars, autograss. Who's the guy to emulate? Who's the one you look at and go, in stock cars, God, I wish I'd been like him. He's the guy I fear. Who don't you want to line up against? Who's the guy that you know is going to give you the most trouble? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. It's a tough one, really, because I think there's that many. The grassing, because it's not non-contact. It's not. They're all there. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, oh well, he'll put me in the fence or put me on my roof. Do you know what I mean? But with a grassing, you can still get that, but you don't need. It can be someone that's not trying to get you, really, because they're trying to get out of the way of you, but you're trying to cut in, and then next thing, they take your wheel off, like Liam Duran. Do you know what I mean? He's going round on a rallycross track and only clips someone's wheel, and that's really he's on his roof 6 times.
Yeah.
Big crash, like I've had when I started.
Yeah.
So I think the grassing, it's not really one particular person that you fear. Do you know what I mean?
So is there anybody?
Yeah, there's a couple, like there's Andy Altby, Phil Cooper, Cameron. There's loads.
Yeah,
but then there's
then boys are.
Yeah, but then there's loads of lads that race the Class 8s that, to be fair, I'd love to, race them in the 7s. You know what I mean? Or for me to jump in the Class 8 job, because yourself, and I don't think so.
So just one more thing before we wrap this up.
Yeah.
There's a rumour on the street, right, that you've been seen, and you can clear this up now, right, that you've been seen in multiple barber shops around the country, right, notably Warrington, right? Warrington. Gox Hill. Rayada. And then Banbury. And I've been told that you've been to Tom Harris's, Andy Holtby's, Cameron Mills and Phil Cooper's barbers, sweeping up, and you've had their hairs transplanted into your head. Is there any truth in that? Or?
Could have happened. I don't think it is. I think it was more like someone from Bradford's.
So, with the changes you've made in the winter, obviously there's the changes to the car, but with the changes you've made to yourself personally, was it for performance or was it to get rid of the gingerness?
I could have just had it dyed, so it would have been easier and probably cheaper. Yeah, no, I haven't. My hair's the same. I just wear a hat now.
Okay.
Till 6 months' time.
Right, well, thank you very much. Again, guys, thank you for tuning in. It's been great having a catch up with Dan. Obviously, I hope we're giving you a little bit of a technical insight. Like, share, subscribe. Definitely. Questions in the box down below. If you have any questions for any of our guests that you would like to ask outside of this, put the questions in. I'll get you the answers and we'll include them in the next podcast. Again, an open invitation. Thank you very much, Dan, for joining us.
No, thank you for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure as always. I always like having a catch up and having a bit of crack. And we'll see you all soon. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.